Welcome, Let Freedom Ring. Before we get into anything, we are dedicating this show to the memory of Coolio, one of our favorite rappers growing up.
He was.
Tim, do you have a favorite song of his besides Gangster's Paradise? Or?
Fantastic Voyage.
Yes. Hear that song, I'll see you when you get there as well.
Yeah.
But he was just iconic.
Yeah.
I just want to say one of the funny things I was reading today was when Weird Al tried to do that parody of him.
Yeah.
He got upset about it, and then later I guess he admitted, he goes, yeah, I was really wrong about that. So, but anyways, R.I.P. Coolio. My guest this week, making his second appearance on the show, Tim Beaulieu. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me back, Dan.
Yeah. Well, I think it's been since probably 2020
Yep.
that you've been on. How you been since your last appearance? What have you been up to?
Good. Just living the dream, I guess, right? Recover. Things are getting back to normal. We did a road show, PoutineFest. I think right after I was on the show here, we've had another PoutineFest at Budweiser, our first one back. Been trying to grow the event and doing all the kids' activities and going to work, but things are getting back to normal, it feels like.
All right, very awesome. And I know you brought a book, so you've been working on this as well?
Yes.
Reading this?
So, yeah, I have a chapter in this book. This is French All Around Us.
Okay.
This is a book with authors all over the United States who are in different French communities, Louisiana, New England, Michigan, some from the West Coast, Midwest, Minnesota. So basically our experience in what we call the Francophone community, or Franco-American, however you want to say it. It's hard to explain to the non-Franco audience, but it's a super cool book. Went down to New York City. Kathy Stein-Smith, who organizes it in an organization with a bunch of different folks from around the country, put it together. We were published. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool read if you're interested in the Franco story of the United States.
Oh, very awesome. So this is called French Around All of Us. As we're not saying to buy it, but if you are interested in this book, that's the name of it. But yeah, no, very awesome. So how was that trip to New York? You went to the United Nations, you said?
Yeah, we went to the international, the Francophonie. So I don't know how to, again, to an English audience, but there's an organization called the Organisation Internationale de la Francophonie, and they basically promote the French language around the world. It's mostly backed by the French government. So basically we went down there, and that's when the book was launched in New York. It was kind of cool. Jesse Martineau, who's been on the show, came down. Melly Desjardins, who's another writer from the area, came down. Laura came down, my wife. We had a blast in New York. We're launching the book and just meeting people from all over the country.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah.
Oh, very awesome stuff going on. Now, I want to get to the fan questions first. We usually don't do that, but we'll just get, there's not
Okay.
too many, so let's get them out of the way. Monique Martineau Cairns wants to know, who's your favorite brother? Kind of, I think she might have asked this the last time you were on it.
Sure.
I don't
have a favorite. It really depends. I have different, with the three of you, I have a different relationship with each of you. I'm the oldest, so I've seen you all your whole lives. So it's just different. Mike and Bob are kind of I don't want to say my kids, but I felt like I kind of raised them since I was 10 with mom and dad a lot. And we were best buds growing up. So it's just different. So yeah, I don't have a favorite.
Yeah, that's I don't think a lot of people do.
No.
In families, so. Interesting question there, Monique. But she also wants to know which Martineau scares him more in the Poutine cook-off, which we're 2 years now.
Yeah.
This has not happened. We're not the ones that canceled it.
Yes. Oh, I should have brought the cup down. Oh, I forgot that.
Yeah, there's still a cup that, luckily we didn't put the year on it. But yeah, which one you fear more?
I mean, neither. I mean, again, I think Monique can cook really well from what I can see.
Yeah.
Jesse and I are very sternly we just want to eat.
Yeah.
So I think maybe you versus Monique at this point. But
I don't know how much I know about it either.
but no, I think Monique's the cook and Jesse's, the voice of the French of North America. So we're a different niche.
Yeah.
So
we're still gonna make this happen, and it dawned on me. I go, wow, that was 2 years ago. We did do a video.
Yes.
There was a YouTube video.
There was.
That we provided instead. I think was
Yeah.
on the French Canadian Legacy Podcast
Yes.
YouTube channel.
Correct.
But I'd still love to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we could have a good time with that.
Yep.
And from Rob Kianzan, a Four Families member,
Okay.
AKA Crayon Dude, he wants to know, who's your favorite wrestler first?
So I don't know if I established this on the previous show that I was on, but the three of you are more into wrestling, the brothers, than I am. I kind of cut out somewhere in the 90s when I was a kid. That being said, probably as far as growing up, it was probably the Ultimate Warrior, like no doubt. We all love the Warrior, like it was the anti-Hogan. But as I've gotten older, it's probably Ric Flair.
Okay.
Ric Flair, because I remember being like 12 years old, and like when he came to WWF at the time, he did the woo, and like that energy, like I started doing that when I get hits, like when I was in Bambino or whatever, Cal Ripken League. And so I've always been a fan of the Nature Boy. So
Like I said, I mean, I love the Warrior too, but he always disappeared. He'd be there for a minute, then he'd be gone.
10-second match.
10-second match. But I remember as a kid, I hated Ric Flair.
Oh no.
Because he was the bad guy.
Yes, he was.
And I remember the night the Undertaker beat Hulk Hogan. Ric Flair interfered.
Oh.
And I was in like first grade. And I understood, like, just crying.
Sure.
Because Hulk Hogan was everybody's favorite,
Yeah.
So it took me years to really like Ric Flair.
To get over it, yeah. And respect the Nature Boy.
Yes, the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Yeah. Who even Hulk Hogan says is the greatest of all time. I still think it's Hogan, even though I don't think Terry Bollea is the best human being.
Neither was the Warrior. Yeah.
Neither was the Warrior. But like, if you want to talk, I know they're like, well, Hogan couldn't have these 5-star matches. I'm like, I enjoy those, but like, overall, the best entertainer was him.
Okay.
In my opinion. I do want to get into PoutineFest.
Poutine,
I'm sorry.
Poutine.
I do want to talk about the 2022. This is the belt this year.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But you're right. You haven't been.
Flat now if you want. Yeah.
You haven't been on the show since.
Yeah.
2021, the 2021 event.
Okay. Yeah.
How did that one go?
Awesome. Honestly, it's probably our best event to date. We're super lucky. Like, we've worked at the Fisher Cats in Manchester. That was a blast. Budweiser just kind of fit our crowd really well. I'm obviously a diehard baseball fan, but people really wanted to like immerse in the Poutine experience. So when we moved to Budweiser, having that open space outside the stadium and not having to go do something after, people really enjoyed that. Bud is a great host. Carla down there takes like the best care of us. So that's kind of nice to have that relationship. And the people who attended seemed to like it too. I didn't see any unhappy faces, no frowning Poutines. Being near Halloween's kind of fun too. So we had little kids there dressed up doing parades and painting pumpkins, all the cool New England things.
Yeah, no. Well, then I'm glad that one went really well. I want to talk about this year's event because that's coming up on
October 15th.
October 15th. How long did this one take to sell out? Because usually it doesn't take too long for these events to happen like that.
Yeah, and we get a lot of social media feedback on this. Personally, I'd rather have it be a good experience for the attendees and oversell it and have people unhappy. So we've kind of figured out the sweet spot of like a few thousand people where people aren't just standing in line. You're going to be in line a little bit at a food event, but we didn't want to oversell it. So this sold out. It always sells out in less than 24 hours. By the first 15 minutes, we're almost halfway sold out. It's stragglers coming in for the general admission. We have a premier ticket that people buy. That's the first entry. Those usually sell out the first, and then you have GAs go during the day. But yeah, 24 hours.
There's people I tell this to every year, and they don't believe me.
They don't believe it.
And I'm like, you got to do it the day of, or it's not going to happen. And
That's
then,
right.
And then I get a lot of people I missed it. I'm like, set an alarm. I don't know.
Right. That's right.
I mean, there's a lot there. There's wrestling events that happen. They sell out so quick.
Yeah.
If you want something and it sells out quick, you got to be ready for it. Mm-hmm. Now, I do want to talk about this a little bit. The event was originally in June. I don't want to say. I guess we're heading into summer at that point.
Yeah.
It would be really warm out. I do remember that. But how did you decide to move it to the fall?
Sure. So obviously June 24th is La Fête Nationale du Québec, or the Saint Jean Baptiste for the Franco-Americans. We wanted to be around that. Obviously it could be 65 degrees here or hot as blazes, 95, sweat and dying. Almost every year was 95, hot as blazes, especially on the tar at the stadium. The sun was on us, it was tough.
It's like Woodstock 99.
It's right. So our security is way better.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
just saying
we-
the hard top.
Yeah, we, plenty of toilets. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
But taking a step back there, so basically it came up like a couple different reasons. Like, we're busy in the summer. I'm super busy in the summer. And coming out of this, I got to give it to Budweiser. Carla reached out and said, hey, do you guys want to do an event this year? I was like, yeah, we might want to. And then this is in 2021. And then in July, I'm like, what do you think? She's like, I think we're good. So I needed at least 2 months to get it set up, to make sure all the vendors wanted to come, to make sure there was interest, to make sure people weren't afraid. And when we got there in October, everybody loved it. And like everyone felt more comfortable, it was easier. And I was planning on moving it to October, though people are sad it's not in June because that's like the time for French Canadians, that June 24th. But the Quebec government office came up to me and said how much they liked it. I'm like, okay, if Quebec itself is cool with this moving, I think we're good. So yeah, we moved it to, and it's been a lot easier. Honestly, on my schedule, it's been a lot easier because I'm busy in the springtime a lot. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I do like that it's cooler. But there was one, because, okay, so 2019 was the first year that it actually moved to Budweiser.
Correct.
Yeah, so I think it's worked out there. You got a lot more room. Yeah, I mean, not that, I did like it at the Fisher Cats because you could do the game after.
Me too.
But the only thing was, you're right, like, and that's where they wanted you to be. Like, you wanted the field originally, right? Correct?
We did, but because it's during the season, they were afraid of us being on the field at the time. I know that has changed a little bit now, but the amount of people we have, I mean, there's no way.
Yeah.
We'd be all over the outfield.
Well, it's kind of weird because they say that during the season, the Red Sox have concerts like every other week.
A double-A operation, yeah, I know. I agree. I'm sure we'd have to pay like a pretty penny to get these cons promoters are making way more than.
Yeah.
And we're doing charity, so.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess they have the money to get the cleanup.
But you're right. Hey, come on now, guys. Jeez.
Yeah. No, it was always cool there. How many years is this now?
So it's our 7th year.
Okay. Now, I got to ask this. Going into this new year with it, what makes this year so much different?
It's going to be very similar to last year. We really liked how that went. The difference is we're going to have more one-off vendors. Like we started to introduce ice cream trucks, things like that. There's going to be a little bit more of that. Beef fried dough. We have somebody doing beef chips. They're like these chip that, like, I don't even describe it. It's like a delicacy in I forget what country. Anyway, I'm rambling on that. But we have a lot more vendors, and we're actually tying a lot more French this time.
Okay.
So we have a francophone band. Francophone just means you're French speaker. So we have a band, Ete from Montreal, coming down. They'll be playing. So like last year, people liked how there was the French music. Now it's like we have a French live band. I mean, they are French. Like they sound like they're from Quebec. I'm trying to think what else is different. We have Thrive Outdoor from Manchester coming down. They do like obstacle courses and survival skills for kids. They're going to set up an obstacle course. So that'll be kind of cool. I'm saying a lot. What else do we have? I think, but the gist is, we have 12 Poutine vendors. We had 10 last year, so we're up 2. We have 2 food trucks. We have Hot Mess and then the Traveling Foodie are both doing it, but then like another 10 under the tent. I don't know how anyone could eat all that. I feel like people don't, but yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool.
Now let me tell you, let's talk a little bit about the prep work here, because you said you had 12, and I do want to get into like these restaurants and what you know about them.
Sure.
How is going into booking these? I know how to book a show like this.
Yeah.
But you're asking, I mean, I know the restaurants get paid and everything, but you're asking quite a bit to be part of a food festival.
That's right.
How does the booking go into this?
At first it was really hard. I got a lot of people not knowing what I was talking about. Like, this is going back into 2015 when I started to work on this. And a lot of people in New Hampshire didn't know what poutine was. They'll say poutine because I can't say poutine when I call. They're like, what? What language is that? So I always
you gotta Americanize it a little bit.
I always, anglicize it to when I call. So now I can say poutine. I can say, Matt, New Hampshire PoutineFest. They know it. So it's a lot easier. It's more like for the restaurants, they're all recovering, and we have inflation. Times have changed. So like a lot of them want to do it, they can't, but because like they have a small kitchen or they don't have the staff. That being said, our volunteers will do all that stuff. They just have to literally make the fries and the gravy. If they show up, we'll give them enough hands to do it. So we get some of the smaller places that like use our volunteers for that. But the phone calls they're interesting, and they're not getting paid, like they're not getting rich off this event. We're mostly covering their expenses. They walk away with a few bucks. They're doing it because they want to help the charity. But yeah, it's always unique who you're going to find, and you get that. I think initially, like I wasn't used to calling about like a food event. That's not really my background. Yeah. But over time, it's become easier and easier. So, I obviously, looking at my hat, I'd like to grow it, and that's definitely something. Now, working down in that in a market outside of New Hampshire is different. It's like starting over. So looking forward to those new conversations, hopefully in the future.
Now, now are you doing the research? I know I've recommended some places sometimes. Is this people from the Franco-American Center or friends, or are people recommending any of these places?
Yeah, so it's honestly, I see a lot of things on social media. Like I follow the Phantom Gourmet pretty closely. I wish they'd come or let's share our stuff. They don't.
I don't understand why they wouldn't want to do that.
They might just not see us. We're still kind of small compared to the Phantom himself. But I'll see places that do it online. I'll see people talk about it. Our fans on Facebook will tell us. They'll message us and say they have Poutine. You need to go try it. A couple have come from the Franco-American Center too, because they know folks in Manchester. I know like the Flight Center, then 1750 Tap House. That was originally they've come every year for like the last 4 or 5, and they're phenomenal. And they came from the Franco-American Center. So,
do you get a lot of restaurants that are like, "Hey, call me every year"?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Yeah. We definitely have like if you have come to the past couple, you'll see like a returning cast. I'm trying to think who to mention on the top of my head. New England's Tap House Grill, Hot Mess Poutine, wherever Matt Preventure, who used to work at Foundry, then he did Red Beer's Kitchen. Now he's at O Steak and Seafood in Concord, so they're coming.
Okay.
Now this is a high-end, really nice seafood steak place. He's introducing poutine to their menu.
With seafood in it?
No, I don't think he's planning on doing seafood in it, but there are steak, so it could be like an appetizer.
Oh, okay.
At a place like that. But he always comes. And then there's definitely a couple others that come to mind. But
well, I got to ask this too. Not only do we notice returning restaurants, I recognize people every year at this event. Do you get a lot of returning customers, and do you get to know that? Like, there's one group, this group of girls, and I've seen them on Instagram with it, and every year I'm like, you guys getting your belt picture this year. Do you notice a lot of returning people? Do you get to know any like the people that come in and out?
I do. Sometimes people will say, "Hey Tim, I need this." I'm like, I don't know you.
Yeah.
But they just know me from being at all these different years. In 2019, we had a 25% return rate from 2018.
Okay.
I forget what it is. We're somewhere in like the 50 to 35%. The thing is, a lot of people can't get in. So the people who couldn't get in are the first on. But that group of girls, they're back. They're always commenting on things. One of the sisters flies in from California. So they set up the trip.
Yeah.
I got a picture with them last year, and I learned their story, and it was actually pretty cool. Like, she lives in California, and this is like her way of coming home. Like, it's like their family reunion type thing.
That's so cool.
That's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I got to ask, and again, I want to get into the restaurants, but I just want to talk about the challenges here. You got 12 restaurants. You got to have fry-laters going.
Yeah.
I know last year, I think the electricity the power went out for like I don't know, 5-10 minutes or something like that. What is the biggest challenge of having all these places going at one time?
It's a loaded question. There's a lot to it. Probably just making sure, everyone can get there. Like, nothing comes up. These are small businesses, and their priority is feeding their families. Mm-hmm. So if something comes up, somebody could bail and like, hey, I have 8 people who called out, Tim, I can't make it. That's happened before. Hey, no hard feelings. I get it. That's why we have 12.
Yeah.
Because if suddenly something comes up, no, we understand that. For a while it was the fryers. We used to rent fryers from a very reputable company. They were good, but they're rentals. Sometimes they have problems. At the current time, it's probably just trying to get the logistics of getting everyone in there, and getting everyone through quickly. I wish I could give the restaurants like 2 or 3 fryers, but the Franco-American Center, who is the charity that this benefits, stores those fryers. Not many French language-based nonprofits store 11 fryers in New Hampshire, no one. So they don't really use them otherwise. So, we're testing them, make sure they work. So, yeah, there's those kinds of things. But, just got to think outside the box. There's alternatives to it. But, I would just say making sure everyone gets there, getting through all the paperwork, which is extensive. I mean, obviously, in New Hampshire, live free or die forever. It's a lot easier here than in most states, but there's a lot to it.
Yeah, because there's different things. Like I have a buddy, Leo, you know Leo Connors, and he was saying he usually does the concessions for Atlantic Pro Wrestling.
Sure.
Couldn't do it in New Hampshire. I think he needed to jump through some hoops, and I don't know. He couldn't. He said he couldn't do it. The laws were just different.
Yeah, I mean, without knowing, I wouldn't be able to speak to it. But usually it's like prep kitchen stuff. They want to see your local town permits. So like we obviously work with the town of Merrimack. Hey, they're right across the hall from us here, and like they're like I'm just in constant communication with them, like the folks in the front office. Then Erin, the health inspector, like she's really easy to work with. Like thank goodness, because there's some that are hard about this paperwork. You know, oh, that I's not dotted, the T's not crossed, and you can go back to your vendor and be like, hey, you know, this is a legal document.
Like you gotta be. Yeah.
But you know, and then so. You know, I can only imagine what was holding him back. I'm kind of rambling on this here, but there's a lot of different hoops, particularly if you're coming or going from Massachusetts.
Yeah, it could just be a health. You know, it could have been like I don't know, but he said it was very difficult. It was very different than when he usually does in Massachusetts.
Yeah, see, I would think it'd be easier here.
Yeah, you'd think.
I would think because I feel like our town. I can say our town.
Yeah.
Is pretty strict.
Yeah.
But what I saw in Massachusetts blew me away.
Well, it's funny because, you know, you say that maybe food prep is different. Like, to run a pro wrestling show in New Hampshire is much more challenging than Massachusetts.
Wow.
They all have to have a license.
We got to fix that.
Yeah, I asked someone one time, I go, what goes into having a pro wrestling license? They go, you pay for it. I'm like, you don't have to prove that you trained? They're like, no, you just pay for it. I go, well, that seems, that's the New Hampshire thing.
We're trying to get the governor on. Maybe you can talk to him.
Well, yes, Governor Sununu, we're trying. He has not responded.
Yeah.
I've got the automotive message. But now I want to talk about this. I think this is really important. Who are the restaurants coming this year, and what do you know about them?
Oh, all right, so let me take my notes out here. There's a lot to remember here. So who are the restaurants?
Because this is what I'm really curious about here.
Yeah, so obviously, this isn't, Hollis House of Pizza's coming back. They're... it's a family-run business again. Like they got into Poutine a few years ago. Really nice family business. This is their second time. Like they have a really good traditional Poutine.
I love it.
So if you're going out doing the farms in Hollis, this is a great place to stop into. You go to get the scarecrow photo, drive over to Hollis House, get a Poutine, tell them we sent you over there. Great family, great place. The Flight Center / 1750 Tap House. The owner owns both of those restaurants. I never know which one he's coming as. It's been 1750 lately. But I enjoy the pork belly poutine at 1750, and the tap house and the Flight Center is like a tater tot.
Yes.
So I'm just not sure. He's always trying to. He threw a curveball last year. He didn't tell us, and he showed up, and it was like something like totally off the wall to like troll the traditionalists. But people actually really liked it.
Sometimes that's what does it, you know.
Yeah, he placed in the top 4 last year. I don't think he knows that, but he did really well. The Thirsty Moose right here in Merrimack. Obviously, a place that we go after all our sports games, stuff like that. Gravy from Wells, Maine. So Gravy used to be in, Newmarket. And he moved out, Somersworth, I'm sorry. I always get those two towns confused. UNH thing. He moved to Wells, Maine recently. And he again, does an amazing traditional poutine. Great spot, not too far from the beach in Wells. Fire and Spice Bistro, they're a newer company, are newer to us. I really don't know what they're planning to do, but they're based on the seacoast. This is one that had come from the Phantom Gourmet. I'd seen people talking about it in chat groups.
Okay.
Like Phantom Gourmet related, talking about this place and specifically about their poutine. I hear they have some kind of vegan or gluten free thing coming, but I don't want to reveal anything. New England's Tap House Grill and Hooks It, who I think should win this belt one of these years.
They're always there. Yeah.
Great, immigrant story from the husband and wife come down from Quebec, start businesses, just keep crushing it, and like made a great poutine and smoked meat sandwich.
I love the Tap House.
Phenomenal. Steaks and Seafood we talked about in Concord that Matt's coming down from. I don't know what Matt's got planned. He did a fried chicken last year. I don't know what he's got up his sleeves. Now that he's got, this new business behind him, who knows what he can come up with. Hot Mess Poutine, again, Renee's going to win this belt eventually.
Renee's been on the show.
She's going to win. She was, so close last year. She does a good traditional. I like the pulled pork. They did the maple one that I had at Bobby's wedding. Phenomenal. Yes, Renee catered the rehearsal dinner.
Yep.
Which was fantastic. Stark Brewing Company in Manchester. They are, local. They do, local craft beer.
They're like the side off of Elm Street. Kinda.
Yes, it's an old Millie's building, like
Yeah.
kind of near where Cotton is, like by the bridge. They've come a long way. They first heard about Poutine from the Franco-American Center and have been slowly getting better and better. And they have a pretty darn good traditional one now.
And I think that's John Tusion's like hangout.
John Tusignan and his buddy Dan Chapman, I feel like they have an apartment there.
Yeah.
And they just kind of like hang out and they, time. They're in the Mug Club there.
Yeah.
But no, they've been Starks goes way back to the first one. They come when, sometimes they weren't able to make it, but they're there often. Kimball's Cavern in Pembroke. This is another one, Pembroke, New Hampshire. Kimball's Cavern has come like 3 or 4 times. They, again, have one of the best traditional poutines.
They won?
They have not won.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of a different place.
They placed top 3.
Okay.
But they haven't been able to get over the hump. I personally think they could win it too at some point, just because there's a lot of traditionalists out there. I mean, I'm technically one. I prefer the traditional poutine.
Same.
If they have the zip and the gravy. If they don't have the Quebec zip, it's really, I need something else.
Because I'm all about, like, if I were to judge this, I'm on the gravy mostly.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm on the gravy and the fries, honestly, because the curds is never going to be like Quebec.
Yeah.
Like, we hear that all the time. I'm rolling my eyes from folks from Quebec, like, oh, it's never going to be like. I'm like, I know. You have to refrigerate curds in the U.S. right away.
Yeah.
In Quebec, they leave them out.
Is that why it melts so easy on a lot of these?
No, it's why we don't have the snap.
Okay.
So if you go in and eat poutine in Quebec, your teeth kind of go through it in a funny way.
Yeah.
Almost like rubbery. Can't get that here. It's just not going to happen. The Traveling Foodie food truck. The Traveling Foodie is the house caterer at Budweiser currently, like to do all their events. I don't know what they have up their sleeves. They seem to be a traditional poutine, but I'm not really sure what they're going to do. And then the Foundry restaurant has returned. So the Foundry, they're 2019 winner under Matt.
Okay.
Their poutine is, again, one of the tops, like their new chefs over there. So, I'm not sure what they're going to do, but they know that, people throw fried chicken or pulled pork or duck or who knows.
Yeah, I did have their duck one after the Fisher Cats game the other week. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. So that's who's coming for the poutine sampling for the event. It should be pretty cool.
No, it sounds awesome. I just want to throw one disclaimer out there. We're not advocating for, you do not have to go to the Hollis House of Pizza.
Oh, no.
We have no affiliation with them.
No.
So, just putting it out there. But they are fantastic.
Oh, yeah, the no ads thing. I pay taxes in town.
Yeah, no. But we don't work for them, so I don't know how that all works. We're good. I want to just know this, too. What does your day look like being the, would you say, because obviously the creator, you're the coordinator, too, I guess is one way to put it.
Yeah, I organize the event.
So what's day of PoutineFest, what's your day look like?
Oh, God, I don't even know where to start. I mean, usually it starts on Thursday. Materials start being delivered to Budweiser. The tent goes up usually on Friday. We get the porta potties coming in. Usually I'm there at like 6:30, 7 o'clock, just making sure like things are going. We're going to test the fryers before they get there. About like 8, vendors starting to roll in, and I'm kind of coordinating who goes where. For the poutine vendors, they all have a spot to go into. But like, the non-poutine vendors, like your ice cream trucks, things like that, like we have them lined up a certain way so they all fit. So I'll come be directing traffic and making sure a few of them get there a little early so they have a spot, make sure it's all lined up, make sure their electric's working, things like that. I'm usually walking around, with earbuds. People call me constantly until about probably like 10:30, then the event kind of runs. And I'm just, going around making sure things are still working.
Awesome. And like you said, there are a lot of people coming up to you, you got to make sure, because there's police there too, right?
Yeah, the Merrimack PD's there.
So you kind of put them out, and you just, like you said, do a lot of people that just are, I guess you call them customers or attendees of the event. So you said a lot of them are coming up to you too?
Yeah, people come up to me and just say, hey, this isn't working, Tim, or I need this, Tim, and I'm like, okay. I'm surprised that they know who I am. But yeah, people come up to me, but mostly like, it's at the point where we're just kind of running.
Yeah.
Now this year we have the band, so it's a little bit more of a wrinkle. Last year we just had the DJ. But we have the band, and we have DJ Darren Roy coming back from Merrimack. He does all the Millennium Running events.
Oh, okay.
And he can speak French too, so it's kind of cool that he's a French speaker and we have a French band.
Oh, that's going to be super awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, definitely looking forward to the event. It's going to be a lot of fun. like you said, October 15th. So right here in Merrimack. Now, you're a big NFL fan, correct?
Yeah.
Are you nervous about the Patriots right now, or?
Oh, you're gonna. My kid's name's Brady, so we're in a different era here. I don't think the Patriots are going to be very good this year. I'm trying to tread lightly because I'm obviously a diehard Pats fan, but I'm also kind of upset with how they've handled it. Like we don't have an offensive coordinator. I'm like, what? We don't have a defense. We're all a team. What, Belichick, then why are you a head coach? Like if you don't have it, just weird vibes coming out of it. The defense looks pretty good so far. I mean, it's early. Running back's fantastic, look great, but with the quarterback play has been like rough. But to that point, like he has Matt Patricia, who's not an offensive coordinator, hasn't really been that. That's tough, man. I think it's going to be, one of those seasons where they're up and down. They might win a few in a row, then get blown out. I don't want to go to Buffalo and lose by them having a perfect offensive game again on the road. I'd rather not make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think it's. I mean, I'll still watch, but it's not going to be. I'm not expecting anything.
Do you think Brian Hoyer can handle it this weekend? No.
No, I think he's going to be okay. But then I think the first quarter, hey, you're managing the game, they're handing off. Defense will start keying on the backs, and then he's going to throw a pick six, guaranteed.
Yeah, the turnovers are killers.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I do want to play a game. Never done this on the show before.
Great.
It's NFL word association. I'm going to say something from the NFL. You tell me the first word that comes to your mind and tell me why. Roger Goodell.
Fraud.
Still kind of angry over Spygate handling and.
Well, yeah, the first word.
Yeah.
I mean, all I can see is the Barstool T-shirts with the nose.
Yeah.
Yeah, they framed Brady. The NFL still has a concussion issue that they don't address. They address it, but then they kind of don't. They treat the players can just be released with nothing. And he's making $32 million a year.
Yeah, he just appeases the owners.
Just appeases the owners.
And I think at times Robert Kraft's guilty of that too.
Yeah, but he's their towel boy, and they wanted to get Brady, and they did. And now, the guy's legacy's tarnished. Obviously, he's living a high life, but I'll never forgive Goodell for that.
Well, that brings up the next one, Tom Brady.
Is it one word?
Yeah, one word.
Greatest?
Okay.
I think he's greatest of all. I mean, obviously, as you see him with Tampa, he can take any team and do all that stuff. You see the drop-off in play that we're dealing with, high school interceptions on Sunday. The Ravens are just, laughing at them. I mean, to do what Tom did for that long is just... I hate that he's in Tampa, but, I mean, you got to respect what he did.
I mean, he turned around, Jameson Winston was there, and they didn't change the team all that much.
No.
They got Gronk, and I think, was Antonio Brown there?
Yeah.
But,
they had great receivers, yeah.
Yeah, but, the team wasn't hugely different from the year before,
No.
and they were able to win the Super Bowl. So,
Yeah.
The 2022 New England Patriots.
God, we just talked about...
we got more coming up.
I don't even know the right word to say here. I was going to say, stink, but the defense doesn't. I would say, influx.
Okay. We'll see what kind of happens. Patrick Mahomes.
Again, one word. I'm going to say, I'll use two words. I mean, amazing. He's, super skilled. I mean, an amazing quarterback. I wish he was on our team. I think everyone does.
Yeah.
You got to respect him. Great player. I mean, his wife's kind of annoying and his brother, but...
they're ridiculous.
They're ridiculous, but amazing player.
Are you looking forward to that matchup on Sunday? It's Mahomes, Brady.
Yeah, and I mean it's big for the Gulf Coast. I mean, as you know, we vacationed in the Sarasota area for the last decade.
We're thinking of everybody in Florida. I should have mentioned that at the top. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Fort Myers got rocked. So there's a lot of Bucs fans that are probably looking forward to some kind of relief. So I feel like the Bucs are going to come out on fire this weekend. They were kind of down last weekend, but I feel like they're going to rally around their community because I mean, man, it's rough down there.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's one of those things where it's because a lot of people want to move to Florida from New Hampshire. They don't want to be around the winters, but it's a trade-off. Yeah. Because you could be hit by a hurricane and lose your house. Yeah, I mean, it's so tough because it's been over 100 years. They always say in Southwest Florida, we never get hit. It's going to come around and bend and hit us. Yeah. But this one came up from just south of Cuba and just went right at them. But I've been on those beaches to see how far that water came in, and the causeway in Sanibel, insanity. That must have been I don't even know, maybe
18 feet, 20 feet of water coming through to take out all those houses. Not even on the beach, like way in.
It's kind of crazy to think about. Like the oceans are rising, so it's like, do you really want to be in those places?
Yeah.
The Green Bay Packers, playing them this weekend.
Yes.
I'm not saying this year, just the Green Bay Packers in general.
I mean, historically speaking, you got, the trophies named after their coach. But, it's been, the Rodgers, choke time since like 2010. Like, they're always there. Like, the 49ers beat them in the playoffs last year. Ridiculous. How did that even happen?
I knew it was going to happen. I knew it.
Yeah, I'm watching that. I'm like, how is this happening? They're so much better than them. But right now they're the choke artists. But they're a historic franchise, and like my wife has some family out in Wisconsin. They're all Bears fans, randomly. Southern Wisconsin's different than up near Green Bay. They like have a battle between Chicago and Green Bay, Milwaukee.
It's like Connecticut. Parts of Connecticut, they love the Red Sox and they love the Patriots. Other parts, they love the Giants, Jets, Yankees, or Mets. Yeah. Mac Jones.
Intelligent quarterback.
Okay.
He's smart, but then he cracks. So far, it's early.
He did look like he was crying.
I mean,
I know it's like to be in pain,
he got trucked. Hey, give him a pass on that. But the throws, man, he has time. Like, the offensive line looks so much better than like the last 2 weeks than it did in that week 1 against Miami. They look terrible. But I don't know. I feel like he's like unconfident. Like some of those, not to harp on it, there's the pass in the flat, and like it's obviously covered and smoked, and he throws it into the coverage. I'm like, you're better. Why don't you just throw it out of bounds? Like, I don't understand. It's almost like he's trying to prove something to Bill, or I don't know.
It would be nice if we got him with Brady like still here to like mentor him.
I don't think Brady wants to mentor anybody.
No, probably not. Probably not. Let's go with some throwback ones here. Barry Sanders.
Barry Sanders. Oh man, I think it's the juke. Like, man, he was on that turf with those shoes, man. Like, there's a game with the Pats. Like, they're memed forever. I think they're in the throwback Reds.
Yeah.
No, maybe they were in the giant Pat face one. But like, he just, man, the way he could run, he just hit the hole and just like spin and turn, like, pretty awesome.
He just couldn't get away from the Lions.
Could not get away from the Lions. Yeah.
Which they look like they're turning it around.
Yeah.
They've looked, pretty decent. Bill Belichick.
It's tough. I mean, I've always been in the Bill We Trust thing. I've always been a fan of that. I am one of the people who turned when they benched Malcolm Butler in the Super Bowl against the Eagles, where Mo's team took us down and we had to like Brady threw 500 yards. He messed with their psyche.
Yeah.
Like, benching him like in that manner messed with them. They looked off the whole game, and like, it's like Belichick. I know his attitude to the media goes back to his time with the Giants. Like, he said things and he got burned. So he's like, I'm not saying anything. But like, the attitude, I just don't understand it. Like, when you're winning Super Bowls, great, but now it's kind of like, all right, like, what's he like behind closed doors? Now I'm more curious.
Oh, he's got to be difficult.
So right now he's smug.
Yeah.
For no reason. He's like, I got 6 rings. Well, the guy in Tampa isn't here anymore, so who really did it?
Yeah, if you have the quarterback, you always have a chance.
Yeah, right.
Ocho Cinco. Chad Johnson hasn't been brought up in a long time.
Man, he was great with the Bengals. Could not get the playbook right here.
Yeah.
Really frustrating. Really frustrating. He's in the Super Bowl, and I'm like, let's get Ocho Cinco out. Nope. So I don't know. I don't really know a word for him. I mean, fast maybe. I mean, he was quick, man. He used to burn like a deep quickly. So.
Okay. Yeah. The New York Giants.
Oh God. So I have friends in New York, so I go easy here. It was painful for years. Now I'm kind of over it. Like, they stink every year.
Yeah.
So they look like they may be okay this year, but I mean, those two. And what's his name? Eli. That thing where he joined the Penn State team. That was hilarious.
I'm trying to think of the name he used there.
So you can't really hate him. He's a funny guy, just on the field. But, I don't know, old rival? I don't know. I don't really see him as a rival now. But
no. The Manning brothers are very funny post their NFL careers. Carson Wentz.
Bust. So, not to talk FCS football, but as a UNH guy, like North Dakota state always wins in UNH's division, and everyone has to go through, for whatever reason, North Dakota to get a title. You end up in Fargo, the Fargo Dome.
Yeah.
Oh, the Fargo Dome. They pretend like they're like an FBS team. He was crushed there, and he got to the NFL. I'm like, he probably could have gone to D1, like D1A school, as the old way to say it. But in the NFL, man, just total bust. Total bust.
Don't tell that to Maura, though. She still believes in this guy.
I think the way the Eagles are now, she should be happy with that.
Well, I got to ask Jalen Hurts.
Hurts, I mean, he's up and coming. That's what I'd say. It's still too early to say, but he's definitely matured, which is good if you're an Eagles fan.
Well, and then what do you think of the Eagles?
I mean, I don't really follow the Eagles closely. I'm just, from a fantasy perspective and like catching it and then seeing Mo get excited about it. I think they're a good team. I mean, the trolling back during, the last L2, like I was like, all right, guys, we beat you in 05. It's like, all right. Like they were way too...
It's because it was their first one.
That's how the Northeast is, though. All the Boston fans, I'm sure, look annoying to all their fans and vice versa. But it's when we beat the Rams, it was like, when you beat an LA team, it's like, hey, nice game, guys. Back to the palm trees.
Because it's not real fans.
So different.
I think
so
outside
different.
the Lakers, no one really, I guess there are Dodger fans that are pretty, but the Rams, again, weren't really in LA all that long at the time. Robert Kraft.
Oh, jeez. Lot of this game. I think he's the savior of the Patriots.
So savior would be your one word?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I think he turned that team from a total dumpster fire, and it's been a great franchise ever since. I mean, Fox, it was horrible. There's a generation of people who don't know how bad the Patriots were and how horrible it was to go to Foxborough. Mom and Dad wouldn't take us. They're like, it's too dangerous. Like, that's what Dad would say.
Probably people getting loaded and not caring. And
yeah, well, I mean, there's that now, but it's a lot safer of a stadium. But it was a dump. Hard to get into, hard to get out of. But Kraft is an actual fan and wants to win, so I am sure he's unhappy with how things are going right now. So a lot of, the Tom Brady thing, a lot of that's on Kraft, too. Like, going to get Belichick at the time when he was less smug and annoying to create that culture.
Brady was leaving no matter what. That's what I truly believe. He was like, this team's not going to do it. I got to go where I can win.
He wanted to go on his own.
Yeah.
I get that.
Dallas Cowboys.
I mean, irrelevant.
Okay.
I mean, they come in here, they win a couple times, but they haven't done anything in 30 years.
Yeah.
I remember getting stuck watching their Super Bowls in the 90s. I actually felt bad for the Bills.
4 Super Bowls, not one.
Brutal. And I was like, just beat the Cowboys, please. If I had a bunch of Cowboys, you were either a Cowboys or a 49ers fan.
Yeah.
In the mid-90s, the Patriots were blacked out, and we'd always get the late NFC game. It was either them or the Cowboys. The Cowboys would be on earlier. We'd get both NFC games. And the Niners would be on late. So I was a 49ers fan. So I can't stand the Cowboys.
All right, fair enough. Josh McDaniels.
See you in a month.
So one word would be.
I think he's a great. I mean,
is this a fail here so far?
It's too early to say. I think he's an offensive genius.
Yeah.
I think the offenses he created and how he worked with Tom was awesome. I think it's too early to say in Vegas though.
Sean McVay.
I mean, lucky. I'd say a lot.
Really? Okay.
All that cash in LA, getting all those stars. Like, where's the salary cap out there? But also, I mean, he's a great coach. I mean, don't get me wrong, but he walked into an awesome situation.
Yeah, and he's a first-time head coach there.
Yeah. They're all going with the younger coaches. Yeah. Eventually, we'll have one.
I mean, look at the Dolphins coach. Oh my gosh, he looks.
They make him look like a genius. But again, you put the money into the players. I mean, they got they put in receivers around Tua, and suddenly he's tearing it up.
Yeah.
Like, I wish we could get a little bit of the money spent on receivers, but I don't know what we're doing.
Who knows? The Super Bowl.
Super Bowl? I don't know. It's a fun time. Fun, family.
Okay.
We always get together for it. It's a good time. Nice way to break up the winter. PoutineFest is the Super Bowl of Poutine events. Okay. There's a couple smaller ones in the area, but we're the Super Bowl, so good comparison.
All right. Well, no.
That was a lot.
Yeah. That's NFL Word Association. First time we've ever done it.
Yeah.
I do want to get into my favorite segment of the show, which is blank versus blank. I'm going to give you 2 things. You got to pick one. Tell me why.
Sure.
First one, Stone Cold Steve Austin or Hulk Hogan?
Oh, my God. At least you went to my era.
Yeah.
Probably Steve Austin. Did I say anything else about it? Or?
Yeah, I mean, it's usually why.
Yeah, well, I mean, Hogan, we know Hogan's story now as a person. Austin just doesn't have that kind of a baggage around him.
Yeah.
And it was kind of when WWE was kind of going in that mode of like the bad guys were good guys kind of deal. Like I was a big fan of DX, like the answer to NWO. Like that was kind of cool because we were always into WWF back in the day. So I'd say, yeah, Austin.
Okay. Limp Bizkit or Korn?
Woodstock 99.
Yeah.
Huh?
Great documentary.
Yeah,
Gotta
great
see it. documentary.
Probably back in the 90s, probably Limp Bizkit. But in 2022, probably Korn. Limp Bizkit, man, Fred Durst, dude. I'm glad he's all right, but some of the things he did and said and like the way he talked about people, like Korn wasn't perfect either. You just didn't hear the stories as much. And some of the songs you listen to with Korn have more meaning to them, and Limp Bizkit's just like, I did it, blah, 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 blah. It's like, I'm mad at this thing. And it's like, oh, okay. Like,
people got over that within,
Nookie was huge.
Yeah.
Huge. But like, when you're looking back, you're like, this is just dumb.
Do you think he deserves any of the blame for the not for the riots at Woodstock 99, but for it to start getting out of control? I feel like everybody was revving the crowd up. Those are the wrong bands for that amount of people. Does Fred Durst does he deserve any of the blame?
Right. So growing up in the 1999 era, so that's when I could have been one of those teenagers there. Like seeing that. I remember seeing it on MTV. I had no idea it was this bad. We didn't watch the news 24/7 back then or have social media, thank goodness. I think it's all on the organizers. You can blame Fred in the moment, but the way they train the security, the way they handle like the first responders, handing out candles,
the candles thing was pretty bad.
They couldn't bring any drinks in. PoutineFest, you can bring drinks in. You can bring a sealed beverage in because that's the right thing to do. Like, that's right from Woodstock 99. That was kind of like, I remember going to the Sox games, dump out your water. I saw the Orioles did it back in 2000. I went there with Lauren, like, 11. And I went to throw my Coke. They're like, oh, you can bring that in. I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's one thing I always wondered. Why would you ever... Water is a necessity of life.
Yeah.
No one wants to buy... Like, you can't be... You
3
want
days.
people drinking water.
Yeah, 3 days.
Yeah, that was it was definitely them. The only thing I would say is when they started ripping down the plywood... And then he got on it too.
Okay, he was inciting a riot for sure.
He was definitely revving them up
for sure.
When he didn't he say like when this goes off, I want you to explode, and that place just went nuts.
Yeah.
Crazy times. Alanis Morissette or Jewel?
Alanis Morissette, no doubt. She was just Jewel, not my kind of music. Alanis Morissette was on. You Can't Do That on Television.
Yeah.
Which is a show that kids who were younger in the 80s remember. Plus the Dave Coulier thing where like that
whole knows about him.
I can't believe that. And that's crazy.
He's kind of dirtbag because she was like a kid and he was I think he was already in his 30s.
Yeah, he was definitely much older. Yeah. Definitely much older. But she was huge back then. But Jewel was good, but just not, that's more dad style.
Yeah. I had Jagged Little Pill.
Yeah.
DMX or Ja Rule?
DMX forever. Ja Rule, man, you get the Fry Festival. Connected with that fail forever. Plus Ja Rule, DMX just, I don't know. It was just better beats. Ja Rule's good, don't get me wrong, but just more of a DMX fan for sure.
All right. The Big Boss Man or Jake the Snake Roberts?
It's all these, flip a coin here. Lucifer and Damien, two great snakes, honestly. Big Boss Man, Cobb County. Braves play there now. But Big Boss Man. Let's go for that.
No one ever noticed later, and they don't sell his figure like this. He did have the Confederate flag on his wrestling gear. I don't know, and then obviously that was back then. But when they sell his stuff now, that is definitely not on there.
Yeah.
So Skittles or Starburst?
Starburst. I like how they're sealed up. You can hand out a couple. It's great for the kids. Not putting your hand in on everything.
You got a favorite?
I don't know, red.
Oh,
yellow.
red.
Red, yellow, yeah. I like
it's
red.
2 times I've asked this, people said red because everybody always says it's pink is the number one flavor.
Oh, yeah.
But I do like red.
Red's good.
We just had a big deal here. Aaron Judge has hit his 61st home run. There's a lot of players that hit more than that, obviously, but that was in the steroid era. Who are you taking, Roger Maris or Aaron Judge?
On your team?
Yeah.
Probably Aaron Judge. I mean, Roger Maris played in a different time. It's hard to compare to different, generations. Obviously, Yankee Stadium continues to be a little league field. So when you get a guy as powerful as him and as good of a hitter, I mean, he's going to tear it up. I think he probably, all kidding aside, I think he probably would challenge that 60 anywhere in any major league park. I hope the Sox sign him. But I would take Aaron Judge. Nothing against Roger Maris. He was a good in his own day for sure.
You think he should be in the Hall of Fame, Roger Maris?
His career overall isn't. I mean, like Judge already is on a trajectory for the Hall of Fame. I don't think Maris ever really was. He had that 1 year.
Yeah.
That was really a standout, but took a lot out of him.
Do you agree with what Roger Maris' son said? If Judge hit 62, he should be the real record holder.
Oh God, that's a tough one. Asterisks and real. It's like baseball wasn't regulating that stuff. It's on them. I think Barry. I mean, I'm one who thinks Bond should be in the Hall of Fame based on easily on his prior career. What he did in Pittsburgh was amazing. His early years in San Francisco. McGuire too. McGuire was awesome in the '80s. The Bash Brothers. But yeah, I mean, and even Sammy Sosa. I mean, he might not be a Hall of Famer, but he was still really good. So no, I don't think they should do an asterisk version, and it is what it is.
It's exciting, though.
It is absolutely exciting because, we think he's clean.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Judge isn't clean. He probably is, but it's just a different time.
Yeah.
Even in the 90s, it's a bad thing, technology, training, fitness, diet. It's all changed since the days of, like, the home run chase.
They're just drinking beer and hitting dingers like, Babe Ruth did.
Yeah.
Mac, would you taking Mac or Tua?
Can I take neither?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really a big fan of either quarterback. Like, I like Mac Jones. He's our quarterback. Like, we're all Pats fans. We're trying to rally behind him. I just don't know if he has the zip in his arm for the NFL. I just don't. I think he's, as far as, like, X's and O's, like, better than Tua. Tua makes some dumb decisions, too, and his release is crazy if you can time it. But, like, I don't know. I'd prefer neither. But probably Mac Jones.
Well, it's crazy because these guys they go to Alabama, and Jalen Hurts too, and Alabama wins all these national championships, and you just expect these guys, there's just that transition from college to the NFL just doesn't seem to...
It's tough.
It
takes time. Oh, and it takes time. But I just, then you look at Herbert. Like, he looks great right away, but, like, it's just a different thing. It's hard. Didn't we pass on him? Could we have drafted him?
I can't remember.
Probably could have drafted him.
I just want Mac to pan out.
Yeah, I hope he does.
And I just, I start to get a little bit more nervous about that,
Hey, his life is set no matter what. Win or lose, he's made millions of dollars.
Yeah.
I don't think franchises, they'll give him a few years. I don't think they're willing to put a decade on stinking.
Yeah.
Bledsoe was not looking like this.
I'd say Bledsoe was probably better than her.
He was. We started to, they were 5-9. I'm sorry, they were 5-11, and they had this win against the Dolphins. I felt like the change in his first year, that we're like, whoa, and then all of a sudden, he just kind of took off after that. Love to throw the big pick though too. That was Bledsoe's thing. He just tried to huck it deep and sling it, as he likes to call it, which usually was slinging it to I don't know, the Dolphin secondary, whatever.
Yeah. Well, but I guess the difference between Bledsoe and Mac was Bledsoe was the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
So, Mac was 17?
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah. No, I'm hoping he pans out because, it was exciting because we took a quarterback in the first round and that hadn't happened in so long. Mm-hmm. So you just want that to pan out,
Of course, yeah. Oh, yeah, you want the best for the franchise, for the player. I just... Give it another season, but, I mean, he's been on this slide since I feel like the end of last season. I feel like I'm harping on Mac Jones. All these questions are Mac Jones related. But he's been on the Bills playoff game. Just look at that tape.
That was bad.
Oh, my God. And it just kind of trickled into the preseason and then into the Dolphins game. And then we got lucky against the Steelers.
There's been criticism that he was soft coming when we drafted him. And you start to wonder, did that mess with his psyche? Can he bounce back? Other people saying that he's going to break, it depends on who you talk to. But
sure.
It is very early in the season.
Yeah.
Very early. Eddie Guerrero or Brian Pillman?
Oh, my God. These picks, I don't really know. I mean, I feel like you liked Flying Brian. back in the day. This is WCW stuff.
Yeah, well, Guerrero, he went to WWF. Well, they
Now-
both went to WWF.
And Guerrero-
Pillman changed a lot. He was a loose cannon
And
character
Guerrero
later.
passed away, right? Tragically.
They both did, 38 and 35.
Pillman died. How did
Pillman,
he die? Heart attack.
Heart issue, yeah.
They all die of heart attacks.
Yeah. His
yeah.
sounds like it was genetic, is what they said later, but
Oh, yes. The WWE would say that, wouldn't they?
it wasn't a WWE report.
Oh.
If you don't know the story, though, they put his widow on TV the very next night and started grilling her about if he was doing prescription drugs and that wasn't steroid related and all this other stuff. It pretty messed up on Vince,
Yeah.
But Metallica or Rage Against the Machine?
Oh my God. Probably Metallica. I like Rage Against the Machine. And again, 90s, late 90s, some really good radio songs. Just some of the messaging I don't agree with.
They didn't have as many hits either.
They didn't. Metallica is more iconic.
Yeah. Yeah, Metallica's definitely a Hall of Fame
They
band.
did screw up Napster, though.
I think Lars Ulrich, a lot of people
Napster.
think he was a jerk, but he was right. It's their music.
Yeah, is YouTube doing the same thing, basically? Like,
Well,
they could have
they have to
monetized
pay
it.
them.
We loved it. We loved Napster. You had to buy the whole CD to get one song.
But
And then we're like, oh, you can just share them around? Like, maybe they could have charged, like it'd be a service fee, like they do with iTunes.
yeah. Well, no,
Like-
that's why you have iTunes.
Yeah.
Before, it was like you had to go buy the CD or the
Yeah.
tape.
Right.
So
That's what Napster was. That's why I'm like, Napster, I feel like they could have worked something out.
yeah, but I think Napster was the one making the money off of other people's
Yeah.
stuff.
Like a sharing agreement like YouTube does, or...
Yeah, that's why
They couldn't think that way in the late 90s, early 2000s, though. They just saw us stealing their music, and Lars got all in a tiff.
Yeah.
And,
well, they were stealing this music.
I mean, no one stole anything. We just borrowed music from other people's computers.
But I believe the Napster guy was
awesome.
making money off
He was,
it.
he was doing ads or something. But that guy's always been kind of shady. He was involved with Facebook later, but multi-millionaire, probably billionaire.
Last one. What do you enjoy better, being a dad or running PoutineFest?
Being a dad. Being a dad, I mean, no question. I mean, PoutineFest is like I'll say my third child, I always say, because I'm spending so much time on it. But there's nothing better than being a dad, especially when you have two kids who are as different as mine. You get to enjoy two different worlds a little bit. A little bit of Lego, a little bit of ballerina, a little bit of basketball, a lot of soccer. Like, it's kind of cool. So, yeah, I would take that any day.
All right, awesome. Well, Tim, appreciate you coming on the show. We'll have to do it again sometime. Everybody out there, have a great week. Keep your heads up. Until next time, let freedom ring.